Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar titled Ask Me Anything on Government Contracting. Please note that this session will be recorded, so you will have access to all the information at your leisure after the session today. A follow-up email will be sent to everyone who registered with some resources as well as the recording of the session. My name is Danielle Hofer, and I am the Outreach Officer at Women's Enterprise Center. I am reaching you from Kelowna, which is on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Okanagan and Syilx people who have been here for generations. Thank you for allowing us to be on your land and acknowledge anyone who is from the Okanagan Nation. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, I would love to hear from you. I will put my contact details in the chat, and you can send me any topics that you want Women's Enterprise Center to cover. This webinar is special today because we have American Sign Language interpretation and closed captioning provided. To view the closed captioning on this webinar, on the screen, what you'll do is click on the live transcript in the Zoom menu. And that is at the bottom of your screen. And then you select Show Subtitles, as you can see in the screen in front of us. To view the closed captioning on a separate screen, please follow the link posted in the chat box. Okay, and I'm going to share that right now. Give me a moment and I will share the closed captioning link. There it is. So everyone should be able to see the link in the chat to access that resource. Thank you so much for our ASL interpreters and the closed captioning staff for allowing this session to be accessible. For best experience, it's recommended to view the closed captioning on a second screen in full screen mode. All right, and if anyone is having a hard time accessing the closed captioning, please let us know in the chat and we'll give you some more directions. We also have the Q&A function, so please type in your questions. We will read them out loud so they can be interpreted, and then our panelists will answer. All right, now a little bit about Women's Enterprise Center. We are a not-for-profit organization, and we are dedicated to helping BC women start and grow their business and realize their full business potential. We do this through a few main ways. So we have our business loans program. You can access up to $150,000. We have professional advice. This is a complimentary service, and we also have free resources you can access on our website. We have skills training, which is webinars like this one. We have mentoring programs. If you want to get connected with other successful women business owners, I encourage you to learn more about our mentoring program. And again, I'll put my information in the chat so you can learn more about that. And then lastly, we offer a supportive community. So if you're a member of a women in business group in your community, please let us know about what you do, and we would love to support. Right now, we have the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund, which is special funding for businesses that have been negatively impacted by COVID. So you can access up to $60,000 in funding / a grant. And if you think you would be eligible, we invite you to visit our website, which is on the bottom of the screen, wec.ca/RRRF. Okay, so that's highlights of Women's Enterprise Center. And if you're looking for more resources to help you through this pandemic season, we have all of the resources up to date on our website, which is wec.ca/COVID-19. So now on to today's session. Do you have questions about how you can sell your goods or services to the government? Do you need clarification on the procurement process? Today, the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises, otherwise known as OSME, and the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman, or OPO, will talk about how to do business with the Government of Canada. We have some amazing panelists, and I am so excited to introduce them to you today. So first I have Kristina Jelinic. She is the Communications Manager for the Procurement Ombudsman of Canada. In her role, she regularly meets with businesses, they call them suppliers, across Canada who are doing or trying to do business with the Government of Canada, and speaks with them how the OPO can help them if any issues arise. Prior to this, Kristina was an internal auditor with the Department of Justice in Canada. She holds a bachelor's degree of arts in the communication from University of Ottawa. Thank you, Kristina, for being here. Next, I have Afnan Al-Hashimi. She joined the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises in the Pacific region as a junior analyst intern in January 2020. She completed her Bachelor of Science in Economics at the University of Victoria and has worked 2 terms as a policy analyst with the the Provincial Ministries of Health and Agriculture in BC. Wow, that's a lot. Afnan constantly strives to improve the service delivery of the great programs and services which OSME provides in helping companies better understand the systems that federal procurement have. So we're really lucky to have Afnan here. Thank you for being here. All right. And lastly, I have Daniel Sando. He joined OSME in the Pacific region in September 2014. And in addition to his work as a policy analyst, business engagement with the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises, Daniel brings a wealth of experience, including over 15 years of global purchasing and marketing experience. Daniel has been involved in procurement performance improvement projects, e-commerce, and SAP implementations for a global player in the chemical industry in Switzerland. Sounds interesting. And Daniel holds a Bachelor of Commerce from Royal Roads University, an executive MBA from the Ivy School at Western, and he is also a certified Agile leader with the Scrum Alliance. Wow, we are so lucky to have these amazing panelists to answer all of your questions. Thank you for being here. I already have some of the questions sent to me in advance. We will get to those. And with that, I will turn it over to our panelists.
So thanks so much, Danielle, for your introduction, and welcome everyone to this session on contracting with the federal government. Whether you're wanting to learn about what procurement is all about, or whether you have questions about more advanced stages in the procurement process, I'm sure that this session will be valuable to you. So I'm going to start by giving an overview of how the government does its buying, how to register and sell to the government, how to market to the federal government, and how to find opportunities. And so this will be followed by a 10-minute dedicated period to answering any questions you may have. My colleague, Daniel Sandos, will be answering your questions during the presentation via chat, but for the purposes of accessibility, I'm going to be leaving the last 10 minutes to answer any questions orally during the Q&A period. So I'm just going to share my share my screen now.
Looks great.
Okay, great. And I'm just gonna set a quick, okay. So let's begin. This presentation will be a sampling from our Doing Business with the Government of Canada webinar. And in the chat, Daniela is going to be sharing a handout that contains a complete set of notes and valuable links to get you started on your procurement journey with the Government of Canada. And so if after this presentation, your interest in this subject has increased, you can sign up for other seminars we provide on procurement. So if you search the Word document for seminars, you'll find a link to the complete schedule of our events. So as in Daniela's introduction, I'm with the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises. We are a branch of Public Services and Procurement Canada, PSPC for short, which is the business arm of the federal government. So any common business function that every department may need servicing for, this generally gets done by PSPC. Procurement, or the process of obtaining goods and services in consideration of the government's requirements is what we're talking about today. And that is what the Office of Small and Medium Enterprises, OSME, is focused on. We want to make sure that small businesses are represented and able to participate in the procurement process. So this means that when the Government of Canada is buying all the goods and services we need in order to operate, OSME supports small businesses in understanding this process in order to get them a seat at the table in becoming a government supplier. And the more matches we can make, the better, since this is a win-win scenario when the government gets the goods and services it needs and where we can support local businesses to grow. So how do we go about doing this? We interact with suppliers like yourself regularly through one-on-one meetings, webinars, and virtual trade shows, where we listen to concerns, answer questions, and clarify the procurement process, and also help them identify opportunities. And the ways you can access these services are also included in the handout provided. You can find it by searching the document for the keyword request assistance. Everything we're talking about today is quite general, but myself and our OSME Pacific team is open to speaking to you directly about what opportunities or what specific strategy might look like for your business. So let's move on to how does the government do its buying? First of all, I wanted to introduce the buyandsell.gc.ca tender website. This is where procurement opportunities and information are published by the Government of Canada. The first most important thing to note about the Buy and Sell website is that it does not contain contracts that are valued less than $25,000. So for any contract valued over $25,000, you will see that contracting opportunity posted on the Buy and Sell website. For anything under $25,000, we will look to you to build relationships with the appropriate government buyers. And those opportunities will not be posted publicly, as I mentioned. These are what we call low dollar value contracts. And this is where small businesses can build networks to find opportunities and bid on them directly with the government client. So if a government department has a need for a good or service valued above $25K, they would post this tender opportunity on Buy and Sell, and they would specify the technical specifications of what we want to buy, how much of it we want to buy, and the terms of conditions of payment, and any criteria of how we're going to evaluate bids. Once all of the bids are collected, we evaluate them according to the originally stated criteria, and we award the contract based on that evaluation. The other thing to note is that at present, if you were to visit the buyandsell.gc.ca website, you're going to notice a very large yellow banner at the top of the homepage of Buy and Sell right now. And this is a notice to suppliers to register on the new Canada Buys tender site. The Canada Buys website is going to gradually replace the buyandsell.gc.ca website. And this yellow banner will take you to the information you need to stay up to date during this transition and make sure that you're appropriately able to view and bid on opportunities posted there. So it's important to note that regardless of what platform is being used to share procurement opportunities with the Government of Canada, the same rules will apply on how to appropriately read a tender notice and effectively prepare a bid for it. So for our next question, how to register and sell to the government? So this slide is talking about how to register within the Supplier Registration Information SRI system and how to get a procurement business number, a PBN. I want you to really take note of this, is that you can start searching for tendering opportunities on the buyandsell.gc.ca website without any registration necessary. The main benefit of registering an SRI is to be able to use the GSIN feature. And a GSIN is a goods and services identification number. And so the benefit of using the SRI system is that when you add the goods and services that you want to provide, you can actually see which GSIN aligns with those goods and services. And by knowing the GSIN code that you're targeting, you'll be able to get more accurate results when searching for tenders on the Buy and Sell website. And so to register in the SRI system, be sure to have your Canada Revenue Agency business number and the exact legal spelling of your company on hand. All of the important information and links about this process can be found in your handout by searching for the term SRI. So this next section provides some guidance on how to do business research and network building within the Government of Canada. And really, this is valuable guidance on how you can market and position your good or service to the federal government. So remember, for contracts that are under $25,000, these are considered low dollar value contracts, which will not be posted publicly on the Buy and Sell website. And so it's up to small businesses to strategically connect with officials in departments and agencies to learn about the direction that that department's purchasing needs will be heading and to get a better idea of the things that your end user has in mind. So how can you find key government contacts? So in your handout, you'll find a link if you search the search term GC directory, all one word, which is what this slide refers to as GEDS, which stands for the Government Electronic Directory Service. So GEDS contains contact information of all federal public servants across Canada, except employees of the Department of National Defence, RCMP, and CSIS for security reasons. So you can navigate down from a department as shown here to find different contacts, including their name and phone number, in order to market yourself for those low dollar value contracts. Also important to note that our office is able to connect and assist you in finding the right contacts. Feel free to connect with me or any member of the OSME Pacific Regional team to get support for your business's government marketing strategy. So here is an example of navigating this directory. So for instance, if you're in the printing business, you print brochures and business cards. So you would ask yourself, who am I targeting? And does everyone have a business card? Does everyone have a brochure? Probably not. But as we know, in the Canada Business app, that lists 100 different government programs. So chances are those programs have some form of material that they want to print. So when you're narrowing down your list of all the government departments, then you can use the tools that you have available to understand which ones do outreach. And so we could think about, for instance, Service Canada. They have offices all over nationwide, and they have a bunch of printed material. So that could be one that you would want to target. So what I needed to do is, as I was preparing this example, I needed to research that Service Canada was part of ESDC, so stands for Employee Social Development Canada. And I also needed to try a few chains before being able to find the regions. So it's really important to be persistent as you're searching this directory. So you can ask yourself also whether you want to be a prime or a subcontractor. So it's important to think about where your company fits in the industry. Given the size of government, there will be some contracts that could only be awarded to a large company. And so when we have such contracts, we usually like to see those contracts have subcontracting opportunities available for smaller companies. So two examples of supplier portals that you can check out for subcontracting opportunities are the Brookfield Global Integrated Solutions, BGIS, and the National Shipbuilding Procurement Strategy, CSPAN websites. And so I'm mentioning these two because they have a regional presence within Pacific region. So I'm going to be pasting the links to these two supplier portals in the chat right now. Seems like, oh, there you go, chat. So BGIS is an example of a large prime contractor, and they currently hold the federal government's property management contracts in Pacific region. And CSPAN is another example of a large prime contractor, and they currently hold the government's shipbuilding contracts in Pacific region. So overall, there are 3 strategies to choose from when approaching Government of Canada procurement. So going for procurement under $25,000, which is low dollar value contracting, going for procurement above $25,000, which is the big bidding scenario on the buy and sell website, and going for contracts, subcontracts like the ones that I mentioned here. So this next section is about finding opportunities. And so in addition to building your network, you will also need to proactively do research to seek out opportunities. And the Government of Canada is buying goods and services all the time, and new opportunities are arising daily. So to be a successful supplier, you will want to be aware of what the government buys and how to find these opportunities, as we'll show here. So we've discussed some of the main features of the buy and sell website. And in addition to the handout that you've been provided, also goes into more detail about all of those features. So instead of repeating that information, I'm going to end my presentation by giving you a brief demonstration of the buy and sell website and how to search for active tenders for your business. So I'm just going to share my screen now to show you that the buy and sell website. So let's say I am an event planner and I would like to offer my event planning services. So what I would first start searching for is event planning. So when I search for event planning, I'm seeing quite a different range of results, like for instance, physician services for inmates. So it's not very relevant, and that's because it's searching for every tender that has event and planning separately. But why don't I make it a more targeted search by making sure that the phrase event planning is what I'm searching for, by putting a double quotation mark on the phrase that I'm interested in providing. So yeah, this is getting much more, this is definitely getting more related. So what I'm noticing then is the event planning and management. And so when I, so for instance, what I always recommend is that once you have a relevant tender that that's related to your good or service, you notice what the GSIN is. So as I mentioned, when you search for the GSIN number in buy and sell website, you will get more accurate results. So I'm going to now search for the GSIN number. And also, I want to know what is currently active tender. What is an active tender right now that I could bid on? And so in order to do that, what I first do is I filter down by tender notice. And then I would also filter down by active. So for instance, in this search, I actually got a result. But even if you don't get a result, it's really important that you create a search bot by pressing the envelope here, where you can create as many search bots as you want to get an email notification of the opportunities that are arising with your search criteria. But in this case, there's an opportunity here. So when you get into that opportunity, you could click on it, and now I'm seeing some really exciting results. And so what I would say is the top, I would say the top 3 things when you're looking at active tenders is that, first of all, you'd want to read the statement of work, which is located in Annex A of the request for proposal document to determine if you meet the criteria. And that document is always found right here in the solicitation documents. And so you can see that the annexes are here. So that's the first thing, because in Annex A, you're going to see the statement of work, which you could see if you could meet that request. And if you feel that you're a good match after reading Annex A, then I would recommend you read the whole tender document and ask questions as early as possible to the contracting authority. And the contracting authority's information is always at the bottom left of the tender notice page, which is right here. And so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and go to the next slide. So the last point I just wanted to raise is that if you have any questions about the procurement process, feel free to contact OSME. We will not answer questions about an active tender, but we can give general information and guidance about the procurement process. So if you have specific questions about an active tender, you can direct those questions directly to the contracting authority. And so OSME also offers targeted seminars that can guide you through the bidding process. And so I would recommend that you check out our schedule of events. So thanks so much for your time and participation. I hope you found this useful. I'm now going to open the floor to any questions that may have come up. So I'm just going to take a look at the chat to see if any questions.
Thanks so much, Afnan. I really appreciated the use of the example in there. I think that's really helpful. I do have a question. This question is from Anna. She asks, how can I get the government to use my company to provide services to seniors?
Excellent question. So what I would recommend is that whenever you're navigating the procurement system, the tools and tips that I just shared is a wonderful place to start to see what exists out there, what currently is out there. And when you notice tender notices that are similar to the service you provide, you can see what type of options exist. And also, in addition, if you're targeting services that are under 25,000, you can definitely connect with OSME to brainstorm and see maybe what strategies you can connect on the on GEDS, the Government Electronic Directory Service, to find out maybe which contacts you'd want to get to. But I think that if you want to provide services to seniors, and if it really depends which side of the 25,000 you're on to decide which way you would approach. So it's important to first have that information, and OSME is more than happy to work with you one-on-one to have that kind of, get that kind of precise knowledge so that we could best direct you to the way you would approach government contracting. So I would need a little bit more information about your company and the size and the type of contracts that you're after. And that way we could better guide you. But it's kind of, as I mentioned, a little bit of a different approach. And so it's important to know where you are and how you're targeting your company so that we could best guide you on that.
Excellent. There's a similar question that came up. Just ask, I'd like to provide services to persons with disabilities. Is this the way to go, such as housing and care?
So I think that...
Megan, can we just switch the interpreter?
Sure.
Thank you.
Here I go. Give me one moment. Oh, did I get the wrong one?
Nope, you did it just perfect.
All right.
So yeah, I think it's definitely, as I said, the government of Canada buys goods and services in a variety across the board. So the chances of your services being sold are, and that the government is buying it, is very high. It's just a matter of knowing how to use the search tools that are at your disposal to find tender notices that are relevant to your good or service. And so I would recommend that it would definitely using the search, using buy and sell to kind of play around and search for tenders that are out there. And in addition, if you are targeting contracts that are under 25,000, you're more than welcome to kind of brainstorm with OSME. If you're living in Pacific region, you could reach out directly to me. If you're living out anywhere else across the country, we have regional OSME offices, which is on our website. So you can definitely connect with us and determine what path you should go on. But I think that in order to give you the recommendation of how to offer services to persons with disability, I would need to have more information about what's the nature of your business and the level, the size of your business, so that we can best direct you, as I mentioned previously.
Excellent. I do see more questions coming up here. Afnan, do you want me to continue asking them to you, or would you like us to switch over to Kristina and get back to them after? What would you
I think we could take maybe one more question, and then we'll hand it over to Kristina. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is from Suki. She said that she's been in touch with OSME, and she's a little confused about the under 25,000. So maybe she needs a clarification on that.
So yeah, I think that if above $25,000, if your contract is valued above $25,000, that has to be posted on the buy and sell website, and that is a tendering opportunity which you would approach in the formal way, which is you see the criteria, you create your bid, and you make sure that it's following the mandatory criteria. And as I mentioned, we do have seminars that we offer that help you understand the bidding process in more depth. So I strongly recommend that you try to register in those seminars so that you can prepare the best bid possible and make sure that it meets all the criteria. But then when it comes to contracts that are valued under $25,000, we call those low dollar value contracts. And those contracts are what we call, when it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be cost effective to create that big bidding scenario on buy and sell because they're so small. And so what we recommend to our suppliers is that when you're targeting low dollar value contracts that are valued under $25,000, you have to, exactly like as you would in private business, you would be generating connections, you would be marketing yourself, you would be using a targeted marketing approach to find the people who would be in government, the departments in government that would be interested in your good or service. And so you can do that by looking through the GEDS directory, as I mentioned, and you know, if you're not sure where to start and you need a bit of guidance, OSME is also there to help you through this. So this is kind of where we would definitely want to you know, if you've contacted us and you're not getting clarity you need, feel free to contact us again or me directly, and I'll be sure to get you the information you need about that threshold.
Excellent, thank you, Afnan. And I think you answered Annette's question too. So Annette, if you don't mind replying in the chat, that answered your question. And with that, I will thank you so much for the information and your presentation. And now I will turn it over to Kristina for hers.
Thank you very much, Danielle, and hi everyone. If you'll just bear with me for one moment, I will share my screen with you here. So, good afternoon. My name is Kristina Jelinic, and I'm joining you from Ottawa today. I am with the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman, and I know that's quite a mouthful, so I will explain to you exactly what that means in a few moments. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you today, because our office has been in existence now for almost 13 years, and we exist basically to help businesses across Canada who are looking to do business with the Government of Canada, who are actively doing business with the Government of Canada, or trying to do business with the Government of Canada. But the thing is, a lot of businesses don't know that we exist. And so any opportunity we have to get the word out there about the fact that we exist and that we're here to help, we seize the opportunity. So I'm here to let you know about the fact that our office exists. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we can do to help you. So it's fitting that I'm doing this presentation right after Afnan, because she was telling you about all the opportunities that exist with the Government of Canada, and there are many of them. And what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about is, if you run into any issues along the way, there's a number of things that we can do to help you. So I will, for starters, as I promised, I want to explain to you so procurement, Office of the Procurement Ombudsman. Procurement is just a fancy word for contracting. And ombudsman, which I recognize is not a word that people use in everyday settings, is really just a complicated word to say someone who helps. So I work for the Procurement Ombudsman. His name is Alexander Yeglage, and he is, his role, the role of ombudsman, is to help when there is a problem, when there's an issue. In this case, it is between Canadian businesses and the federal government. We step in to help. So I'll tell you a little bit about how we do that. And the idea is, if there's one thing that you can sort of retain, that I would recommend that you retain from this presentation, is that if you ever run into issues in trying to do business with the Government of Canada, give us a call. I'll give you our contact information at the end. We can't resolve all issues, so I'm not going to promise that we can help you in every case, but there are a number of things that we can do to help you. And our promise to you is that if we can't help you because, for example, the issue that you're dealing with falls outside of our mandate, we will do our absolute best to put you in touch with someone who can help you. So we'll redirect you to the person or to the organization who is in a position to help you. So that is our promise to you. So I just want to take a couple of moments to have a very quick look at government procurement. So government procurement at a glance. So the Government of Canada puts more than 300,000 contracts into place a year. They are the largest public buyer of goods and services in Canada. So we're talking about over $20 billion annually. And the vast majority of those contracts are low dollar value contracts. So Afnan touched on that in her presentation. So why am I mentioning that? Well, because there is a lot of money to be made in doing business with the Government of Canada. So there are tons of opportunities. But we recognize that the process of doing business with the Government of Canada happens in a complex legal framework. And it's not always an easy process. Now, we always say, of course, that we hope that the process is an easy one for you. But in the event that you run into issues, we want you to know that we exist and that we are in a position to help you. And as I go through the next few slides, I'm going to give you some examples of some of the things that we can do to help you. And what I hope it will do is, if in your journey of trying to do business with the Government of Canada, you happen to run into some of these issues, either ones that I touch upon or similar situations, you might remember, I thought I heard that maybe the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman could help me with this. Let me give them a call and see what they can do. So that's what we're here to do, to let you know that we're around and we're absolutely willing to help you if you run into some issues. So in terms of who we are a Government of Canada organization, but what sets us apart is that we operate in a neutral and independent fashion. So we are not connected to any department in the sense that our work is done independently. So I'll talk in a few moments about some of the ways in which that we can some of the ways in which we can help suppliers. When I talk about suppliers, I'm talking about Canadian businesses who supply goods and services to the Government of Canada. So in some cases, we handle complaints from suppliers. And if a supplier comes to us with a complaint and we launch an investigation to look into that, all of the work that we do around that investigation is done completely independently. So no one outside of our office has anything to do with the investigation. And the first point at which the information is shared outside of our office through a report is when the report is released to the complainant and the department in question. And we do that to preserve the integrity of the process. So it's our team, and it's an independent investigation, and it's done independently of the department in question. So that's just one example to sort of illustrate to you how we operate independently, even though we are a Government of Canada organization. And we're neutral in the sense that our goal is to help. So we're not, as it says at the bottom of the screen here, this is a line that the very first ombudsman came up with, and I think it really well encapsulates who we are. So we are not a lobbyist for suppliers, nor an apologist for government. So we don't work for one side or the other. We are focused on the issue. So when an issue arises, our goal is to remain neutral and try to help the parties resolve the problem. So when I was saying a moment ago, what is an ombudsman? An ombudsman is someone who steps in and helps. So when an issue arises between two parties who are not able to work out the issue themselves, an ombudsman can step in to help them find solutions to the problem. So in that sense, we are a neutral organization. And we have a government-wide mandate. So there are a few exceptions to the rule, but by and large, we are able to help suppliers, so Canadian businesses who have issues with the vast majority of government departments. So we're talking about roughly 90 to 95 government departments. And so what that means is chances are very good that if you as a business have an issue with the department, we will be in a position to help you. So I have a little sort of illustration for you here about that sort of depicts the journey that you would go on as a supplier if you're looking to do business with the Government of Canada. And it sort of illustrates some of the steps that you would take that Afnan was speaking to in her presentation. And over the next few slides, I'm just going to give you some examples of some of the issues that could arise as you go along in this journey. And that journey begins at the moment when the Government of Canada identifies that they have a need. So they need, for example, to buy desks for employees, or they need to buy a fleet of cars, or they need to buy fruits and vegetables. The Government of Canada needs fruits and vegetables for various reasons. So the government needs to buy something, and so then they put out a bid solicitation, and on goes the process. And the process ends basically when you, as a business, deliver the goods or the services, and then you get paid for those goods or those services. So as you go through that process, we of course always say that we hope that that process will be smooth and that you won't run into any issues. But should you run into any issues, we are available to help you in some instances. And we always look at things through the lens of fairness, openness, and transparency. Government contracting is always supposed to be done in a fair, open, and transparent way. So whenever an issue is brought to our attention, that is the lens through which we look at the issue that is put before us. So as I go through these examples, we don't have a whole lot of time today. Normally I would take an hour to really go through several examples of some of the things that we can do for you. I'm just going to give you a few today to give you a taste. And it's not, like I said, it's not an exhaustive list, but hopefully what will happen is if ever you do run into some issues, this will hopefully serve as a reminder of what we can do, and just give us a call and let us know what it is that you may be dealing with. And one thing that I think is really important to underscore is that when you contact our office, we have a team of people who are basically waiting to either receive your phone call or your email. You're not triggering any sort of process. So you're just speaking to one of a member of our team about whatever issue you're having. We will never do anything on your behalf without your explicit written consent. So when you call us, it's just a conversation, and it only turns into something if you want it to turn into something, whether it's a complaint or whether you want us to contact the department on your behalf, whatever it may be, that only happens if you want it to happen. So don't ever hesitate to call us because you think that you're launching something by giving us a call. So I'll just give you a couple of examples of.
I'm just going to interrupt you really quickly for a second. We're ready to switch interpreters.
Okay.
Thanks. All set.
Thank you. So during the bid solicitation process, so I was talking about fairness, openness, and transparency. If you are looking at a bid solicitation, and in your opinion, in looking at it, it seems like the requirements are too strict. So what the department is asking for doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or it feels like something that you couldn't possibly meet. You know your industry, you know your business, you know your competitors. If you're looking at something and it doesn't seem right, let it be known. If you're looking at a bid solicitation and it seems like a department is clearly favoring a particular business, that's not okay, because that's not the manner in which government procurement is supposed to happen. So if ever you're looking at a solicitation and something seems off to you, contact us. And depending on the circumstances, there are various things that we can do to look into that for you. A lot of times it's just about understanding why the department is asking for certain things. Sometimes there is a very good explanation for why they've asked for something really specific, why things are a certain way. In other cases, there may not be a good reason for it, and then that's something that we could look into. So if you look at something and it doesn't seem like it's fair, it doesn't seem like it's reasonable, give us a call and we can look into that for you. So one thing that I want to mention about the bid solicitation process as well, when you're preparing your bid, it's important that you have all the information that you need to complete a full bid. And because obviously you want to increase you want to have the best possible chance of submitting a bid that hopefully gets chosen and hopefully you get the contract. So if there's information that you feel is missing, you are able to speak to the department, it would be the contracting authority, and ask them for additional information. If in any case you're not receiving the information that you're asking for, that again is an example of a time that you could get in touch with us. And we have contacts within the departments, so we can contact them again with your permission on your behalf to try to sort of fill in the gaps wherever there may be some information missing, because you should be able to have all the information that you need to complete a full bid. And if that isn't the case, then by all means get in touch with us. Now, in some cases you'll bid and you'll win the contract, which is great. In some cases you'll bid and you won't win the contract. In those cases, in some cases, you'll probably understand why you didn't get the contract and why it went to someone else. In other cases, you might wonder why you didn't get the contract. And you might think, well, you know, I really think that I should have received this contract and I'm not sure that it should have gone to that business. You may feel that you were not fairly evaluated, that something doesn't quite feel right about the way that you were evaluated. If you ever encounter a situation like that, give us a call and we'll look into that for you. So there are, if you launch a complaint, if you want to put forth a complaint about the award of a contract, there are certain requirements that have to be met. So we can't, from a legal perspective, because there is legislation on this, we can't handle all complaints. It has to meet certain requirements, but we always recommend give us a call, explain the exact circumstances to us. And if we can't launch an official investigation into whatever it is that happened, sometimes we can help you on an informal basis. There are informal mechanisms that we can use to address the concern that you have. So if ever a contract has been awarded and you disagree with the award of that contract, you feel that something was not fair about what happened, please do get in touch with us. And I want to talk about debriefings as well. So you can ask departments, if you've not been awarded a contract and you'd like to learn a little bit more about the process and perhaps why you didn't get the contract, you can ask for a debriefing. It's important to know that, I'm just checking time here to make sure that I'm not running over. Okay. It's important to know that departments are not required to provide the debriefing, but according to government policy, it is recommended that they do. And we encourage businesses to do it because you can get a bit of information about how you did, and perhaps in terms of the evaluation, where you did, where you may have lost some points. And it's information that can help you do better next time. So learn about where you were maybe missing some information or perhaps didn't do as well as you could have. And that can be really valuable information for you. So ask for the debriefing. And if in any circumstance you don't get it, give us a call. Sometimes the departments will, if you ask them, say no the first time around just because they're very busy. There could be some other things going on. We have contacts, like I said, within the departments. We can put in a phone call or two just to try to get that for you because we believe that it is a valuable process, and we'd like to help you get that information if you can. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip this part because this is, I'm conscious of the time here. These are the requirements that you have to meet if you want to launch an official complaint. The main thing to know is that if a contract was awarded and there's something about, like I said, if there's something about the award of a contract that doesn't feel right to you, and again, like I said, we look at everything through the lens of fairness, openness, and transparency. Just give us a call. Explain the details of the situation to us. We'll let you know what we're in a position to do to help you. So that's the main message that I want to get across to you today, because I want to cover off a few more things that are really important. So if you are successful and you get the contract, which is great, and you do the work, so you get to sort of, if you remember that supplier journey that I showed you a few slides ago, so you get towards the end of the process, the end of the journey. So you render the services, you provide the goods. If for some reason you don't get paid or the payment is delayed, please give us a call. We understand, particularly for small and medium businesses, how important it is for you to be paid on time and how much of an impact that can have on your business. larger businesses can absorb those delays much easier than small and medium businesses. So we recommend that you give us a call. And what we do is we, again, have the contacts within the departments to see what we can do about getting you paid. A lot of times it's just delays on the administrative side. And sometimes, to be honest, it's just the difference between a supplier or a business contacting the department and the Procurement Ombudsman's office calling. When the Procurement Ombudsman's office calls, they tend to pay a little bit more attention. And so if there's anything that we can do, and we don't approach it, we're not combative in any way when we approach them. We're not looking to create a problem for anyone. We always approach it from a very collaborative perspective. We just want to make sure that businesses that are providing goods and services to the government of Canada are getting paid. And so we work with the department to get the businesses paid because we understand how important that is for you and we want to help you. So if ever you're in a situation where you have not been paid, know that you can contact us and know that we will do our very best to help you. And the same goes for if ever you've been asked to do work that isn't in the contract. You should never be doing work that isn't covered off in the contract. And if ever that is the case, please get in touch with us because the concern, of course, is always that you may not get paid for it on the other end if it's not covered in the contract. So that's also a really important point to make. So one last thing that I'll just mention really quickly is if you ever have a contractual dispute. So what that is basically is if there is a disagreement about the interpretation of the terms and conditions of a contract. So you have a contract with the Government of Canada with a particular department and you disagree about the terms and conditions. So you've interpreted it one way, they've interpreted it another way. That can be resolved by going to court, but that's a very stressful process typically. It's costly because you have to hire a lawyer unless you want to defend yourself in court. And I mean, to be honest, going up against a department like National Defense, Global Affairs Canada, any government department, really probably not the best day of your life. So if you want to go that route, you absolutely can. That is your prerogative. But there is an alternative, and that is mediation services, which our office offers for free. We have certified mediators, and basically all you have to do is ask for it. It is a voluntary process. So you and the department have to agree to participate. Neither side can force the other to participate, but provided you both agree, we will provide those services to you for free and we will guide you through the process. And our goal, we're not looking to, we have no vested interest in the outcome. We're just looking to help you identify what the crux of the issue is and help you find some solutions. It's an entirely confidential process, it's neutral. As I said, I'm joining you from Ottawa today, but if you're located out on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, wherever you may be, we will come to you. Now, because of COVID, we're doing everything virtually, but hopefully once COVID is part of our past lives, we will resume doing these mediation sessions in person. And typically a mediation session lasts one day. So it takes a little bit of time to set things up from a logistical perspective, but once we meet, it's one day. And if you come to a resolution and you agree to a solution, we will put that in an agreement for you, which if you both sign becomes legally binding. And our goal at the end of the process is to get you both back to business. So nobody has time to waste with a contractual dispute. It's not good for either side. So our goal is to help you resolve those issues, and the services are completely free. All you have to do is ask. So I'll stop there because I know we're short on time. This is our contact information. Please do get in touch with us if we can help you at all. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If I can't get to all the questions, please just email us there at ombudsman@opoboa.gc.ca. It is our promise to you that we will get back to you in one business day. So you will not wait more than one business day to hear back from us. That is our promise to you. So if I can't get to all the questions, please email us. And thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kristina. I do have one question. I'm wondering if you can quickly get to it.
Yes.
One person is saying that they notice one person is monopolizing doing business with a particular school district. Is that something that you cover?
So school district sounds like that's probably something that's at the provincial level, I'm guessing, right? So we handle issues at the federal level. So anything that has to do with business that you're doing with the government of Canada. So I'm guessing here, but I'm thinking school districts, if I'm not mistaken, is a provincial matter. And if I'm correct about that, then unfortunately that's not something that we would be able to help you with. What I would recommend though is there is a provincial ombudsman. So if you are located in British Columbia, perhaps, yes, provincial matter, contact the BC Ombudsman. That would be my recommendation to you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all that great information. Thank you everyone for being here. We're about to wrap up. I'd like to let you know that we have another upcoming webinar all about building your business online using SEO. That is coming up on April 20th. And I'm going to include a feedback survey in the chat. We would love to hear from you. And we have a $50 Visa gift card for anyone, or it's randomly selected. But if you complete that feedback survey, you will be entered into the draw. So thank you so much. It is an absolute pleasure to have everyone involved from our interpreters. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our closed caption support and also to the OPO and OSME. Thank you for your partnership and making this information accessible to women entrepreneurs. And we'll see you on the next session. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.